Hi, and welcome back to my orchid life. Today is a care collab about Oncidium twinkles. Thank you, Nina from Ninja's Orchids, for sending out the flamingos, informing all of us of this collab. There are several channels participating, so I will leave a link down in the description below to their videos. Please go and check those out after you have watched mine. They may have a more similar growing environment or different tips and tricks, as some people have been growing longer than others. I've not been growing mine that long, and we'll get into that in a moment. First, let's start with my growing environment. I do grow here in Denver, Colorado, in my living room. I do have a grow shelf that I use. I have some on a mount. There's a light hooked up there. I do have some in this corner here, as well as over here along the table, and then I also grow my African violets. Pretty much majority of my plants are here in the living room. Average humidity is between 20 and 30%, sometimes 40%. Again, your average household humidity. I do occasionally use a humidifier. Last year I did use it quite a bit. However, this year I've not yet used the humidifier. I'm debating on whether I want to just see what they do without the additional humidity during the winter. I also tried not to put any of my orchids that might be in spike near where the draft may be, because the doors do open and close here quite frequently. So they are getting that constant fresh air from the door, as well as airflow from a ceiling fan above me. The lighting primarily comes from the east-facing window with the shading down. And the reason that the shading is down is that it is nighttime, and I have waited until the last moment to film my care collab because, let's just bring you down, I was waiting on something to happen. All right, let me reposition the camera and we will talk about these two lovely Oncidium twinkles I have here before us. All right, so I am still in my work clothes. Literally, guys, I came home. I was praying all day that I would see at least one bloom open. But no, let me tell you, twinkles will test your patience. Just because you see lovely spikes, oh no, you're not going to get any blooms anytime soon. It takes months from the time you see the beginning part of the spike for it to actually fully develop. We are going to talk about my white shower here in just a moment. So I bought both of these from my local nursery. It's called Fantasy Orchids here in the Denver, Colorado area. And I got them in June of this year. So, might do it this way. So this is the company that I got them from, if I can get it to focus. Okay, it is the only nursery in Colorado. I bought both of them at the same time. And we'll talk about this one first. So when I purchased this one, she had 2 new growths that she was finishing off, and I bought her with this spike. I knew that it was going to take a while for this spike to develop, so I wasn't in a hurry for it to get here. However, as you can see, this spike has dried off, so I can finally take that off after we're done with the video, because it has really been bugging me for weeks now, like literal weeks. I knew the care collab was coming, but I wanted to show you. Then this one developed. Now I only have one spike off of this growth, but I believe it's because if you look at the bulb, do you see how the bulb kind of split this leaf here? So it's kind of growing in the leaf. Well, this spike developed, and I kept waiting and waiting, and it branched and it branched and it branched and it branched, and it's just starting to swell its buds. Now these 2 spikes back here off of this growth actually developed long after the one we just saw, and those blooms are already starting to swell, and that is what I was waiting for. So let's look at this one here. So this one here is the Oncidium white shower. So this one is supposed to be white with yellow flowers, and the other one, according to this, is just white flowers. And I'm also going to get back to the white flowered one here in a moment. But do you see these leaves? How they're getting all brown and they have this black stuff on them. So when it first started, I was doing a little research, and one place said it was too much water. Another place said it wasn't enough water. Then somebody said it was too much light, and it was just all this conflicting information. So since I had 2 of them, and the Fragrance Fantasy was having the same leaf issue as the Fragrant Fantasy, or the White Shower, sorry. So this one is the Fragrant Fantasy, this is the White Shower. But it was having the same issue. So I took it down out from underneath the Barina light where it was growing, and where you can see she's missing that leaf right there off that new growth. It went ahead and dried out, I took it off. Well, since I put her on a shelf that sits right to the side of the Barina shelf and doesn't get that really strong lighting on her, I have not noticed any more of even the leaf tip dieback like this or the leaves browning out. But I am waiting because she also has this new growth. You know what, let me take her out of the pot, decorative pot here. So she does have this new growth right here coming out, as well as she has a new growth right there that she's working on. So this one here has 2 new growths coming off of the older growths, which I think this one right here, the reason it did not bloom is simply because I did take it out of that nursery environment into my home, much drier, etc., etc. So her not blooming, not too upset about, but I am happy that I do have the spikes. I have some new growths going on. I leave mine in, they're in all moss, and they do have charcoal, perlite, and a little bit of small fir bark throughout just for aeration. And what I do is I water, set it in water to about right there. I let the water absorb to about right there. I take it out, put it on a tray, finish letting it absorb, and then I place it in here with some stones at the bottom. And I leave a little bit of water at the bottom, but not enough for the pot to actually be sitting on water to help create humidity and kind of create some extra humidity for said orchid. Then we have our little Twinkle White Shower here, who also is in the same setup. And I have different pebbles, but I do the same principle. Who has, for the amount of growth that she is doing, has nice roots in the pot. They're starting to grow out from underneath. She has, so we've got 2 new growths right here, and she has another new growth. Give me a second, there it is. She has another new growth right there. So because both of them are pushing out spikes, working on new growths, and developing a root system to support that, I water these every week with 80 parts per million of MSU, and then I will flush them with CalMag at about 50 parts per million on the 4th week. So 3 weeks they get MSU fertilizer, on the 4th week they get CalMag, and then on the 5th week I flush through with water. Now when they get the MSU fertilizer, they absorb it up. The CalMag, I do pour it on top very lightly to keep from compacting my moss. And when I do the flush, I do the same thing. I run it across. I will water these just as they are approaching dryness. And if you can kind of tell, the moss doesn't look wet. It's kind of damp. So she's about another day from having to be watered. And this piece sticking out here, I can kind of feel on it as well. It does have a little dampness to it. I try not to let them dry out. Some places, depending on what your environment, some people will grow these in bark. Well, they'll grow them on the mount. They let them completely dry out. In my environment, I have found Oncidium types do well just at the drying out portion to water them. Also, I am testing to see if that doesn't help control this brown tipping by letting them dry out just a little bit more than I have been to maybe eliminate too much water. Now let's get back to Fragrance Fantasy. It is said that the white Oncidiums, twinkles, do not like to be potted. They prefer to be mounted. I am going to try to keep her in a pot. I'm also wanting maybe in the spring to purchase another white Twinkle, specifically maybe the Fragrance Fantasy, so I have the same exact one. Grow one on a mount and one in a pot and see if the one in the pot objects. If you have any thoughts, leave it in the comments down below, of course. Let's see, what else can I tell you about them? Let me grab my cheat sheet, sorry. I told you about the media, I told you about the water, my environment, light, temperature. So my temperature, again, in my living room ranges between 72 and 76, depending on the time of the year. Generally, though, it stays at an even 75 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius. If I remember, I'll put it up there. And all of my orchids seem to do fairly well in that. So those that need to be a little bit more cool or more warm, I tend to do where they're placed in the living room to kind of adjust for that. These are intermediate growers, so they can take high temperatures. I mean, obviously I wouldn't put them out in the sun right away and let them scorch, and obviously they don't like freezing temperatures. But their temperature range is anywhere from what I've read, 80 degrees Fahrenheit down to maybe 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So I would class them as intermediate. Where they are, the temperature generally hangs around 72 in the area that they're in. I don't do much as far as pests. I don't have big pest problem. I did have a few mealybugs here and there, but nothing that became an infestation. I've heard that they can be pest magnets if grown in certain environments, like maybe a greenhouse, or if you grow them outside, you bring them back in, that kind of thing. I don't generally have a pest problem because I do grow in my living room. I think it kind of keeps a lot of the pest problem away. However, there will be a day, I am sure, where I'm going to run into an issue. I hope everyone has some feedback on my little babies here. Especially leave your thoughts on what you think this here is, and I'll let me take it out of the pot so you can kind of see a little bit closer on what that is. Let me see, here we go. But you see that? And it starts from the tip and works its way down. So it's not like it's coming from the plant itself. It starts at the tip. So it's something I'm doing that affects the tip, and it affects the new growth as well. So this leaf right here is actually the center leaf. It's one of the new growths. And it does it not on all the leaves. That's the thing. Like, it didn't do it on this one. It's just doing it on primarily the middle ones. The two outer bracts seem to be okay. It's once it starts growing its center leaf that it starts doing this. So I'm not sure what that is. From what I've read, again, it could be too much water, not enough water. I thought at first too, maybe they weren't getting enough CalMag. That's why I increased the CalMag. Again, any thoughts that would help me eliminate this in future growths would be appreciated. Okay, so everyone go check out the other videos. I'm sure that there's someone out there that grows in an environment and has some tips and tricks that can help you out. If, just as a side note, you do videos and you'd like to be part of the next care collab on the Oncidium, or if you have an orchid that you've seen care collabs on before and would like to join in, just let us know. You can reach out to one of us, or if you want to reach out to Nina from Ninja's Orchids, she is the one who initiated this at the beginning of the year. Reach out to her. She can add you to her database, and the next time we do an update, you can give your thoughts. And with that, guys, I hope you have a great and wonderful day. Once these ladies do bloom, especially this one here, I'll do a quick video just to kind of show the blooms. Probably won't be for about another month or so. Fingers crossed, maybe I'll have some Christmas blooms. Who knows? Everyone stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.